Hey my loves, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I wanted to share with you guys some social etiquette rules for a lady to know. I think every lady should know this, at least every lady who cares and wants to present as polite and a woman who has good manners. I know there will be people on this video, people who watch this and think, I don't care, I can do whatever I like. And yes, you have the free will to do whatever you like, but for the women who care, this is for you. These are social etiquette rules every lady should apply, I think, anyway. Let's begin. Number one, using your inside voices. I know some of you guys are like, Nafisa, we are not children here. I'm sorry, but I think this needs to be said. I have seen multiple occasions where I'm on public transport because I don't drive. I live in London, so I get by on public transport, and countless times I see people walking into the bus. The bus is quiet. It's a quiet place, no one is shouting, and then people enter into it with their phone or on their phone, and they are speaking and shouting to the top of their lungs. Why? Majority of the behaviors I'm going to speak about here are really to do with having good manners and reading the situation and behaving accordingly so that people don't question your level of intelligence. It's important that when you enter into an environment, and sometimes I can understand because I know that people are just caught up in their own conversations. They're not really aware of what's going on around them. So if they were speaking loudly before they entered into the space, they kind of just carry on, not even thinking twice about it. But if this is something you've done quite often, I would advise you not to do it anymore, okay? Please, whenever you enter into space where there's other people and you're having your private conversations, try to keep it down. I know we've all done it before where we've all received a phone call or two on the bus and we may have been saying something. Someone was sitting very close to us, they can hear what we're saying. But it's advisable and it's good practice and good manners to keep your private conversations and have those in private spaces, and to avoid having those in public spaces where other people can hear you. But even more importantly, going back to my point, is not shouting to the top of your voice whenever you are in an environment where other people are quiet. The next social etiquette rule is please avoid calling people a billion times. If you called them once, twice, they didn't pick up the phone, maybe leave them a message and give them the chance, the opportunity to respond back to you. Some people have a very bad habit of calling people on repeats. Like the phone just has to keep ringing unless the person turns it off themselves or unless they pick up the phone. And it's sometimes very uncomfortable for the other person on the other side because they may be busy, they may be doing something to where they can't answer the phone. For example, for me, I have a baby. I have a 7-month-old now, and at times my phone is ringing, and there are some people who call over and over and over again. And I'm just like, I just want this phone to stop ringing because my baby, I'm about to put her to sleep to where she's just about to sleep and the phone starts ringing. She wakes up and I'm like, oh no. So you just never know what situation people are in. If you've called once or twice, someone doesn't answer, cut off the phone, leave them a message, give them that opportunity and that chance to get back to you. It's funny actually because Islamically speaking, for my Muslim viewers here, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that if you knock on someone's house, if you come to visit someone and you knock once, you wait for them, give them a chance to respond. If they don't answer, you can knock again. And if they don't answer, you knock the third time. After the third time, do not try to force your way into the home or continue knocking. The sunnah, the Islamic tradition is that after the third time of knocking, if they don't answer, you need to go back. You need to return where you're coming from. That would be seen as bad etiquette to continue to knock on someone's door who has not responded to you. The next social etiquette rule is to never answer your phone on the dining table or whenever you are dining out with others. always excuse yourself before you pick up your phone. If your phone begins to ring, ideally, you should even have your phone ringing out loud whenever you are in conversation with people on the dining table. Your phone ideally should be away, but if it's not away, then at least it needs to be silenced. If you can then feel your phone vibrating and it's an important call or a call that you're expecting, you're just meant to look at the phone, see who it is, decide if it's important to pick it up, and then excuse yourself from the table. So it's please excuse me, I'll be right back. And then you move away from where the people are and you answer your call very quickly then. If it's an emergency, for example, and you have to excuse yourself, you should come back and you should explain to the host that you're so sorry, but you would have to go, and that you would just fill them in later. It's not appropriate to kind of have that conversation in front of other people, but it's also nice for other people to understand that you had to go because an emergency came up. But to just pick up your phone in front of people that you're dining with and start having a side conversation, it just leaves the other person or the other people feeling a little bit weird, like what do? We don't really want to listen to their conversation, but they're answering the call in front of us, and it just opens the opportunity for things to go very, very wrong. I remember a situation whereby someone was visiting another person and then they had a phone call whilst they were visiting that other person. And that phone call very quickly triggered them and they became very, very angry. They started speaking very rude ways, using bad words. And it was such an awkward situation for the host, because the host was sat there thinking, what's going on here? And by that point, this man has completely lost it. He was so angry. And it was a classic example of why it's actually not a good idea to always answer calls in front of other people, because he instantly demonstrated bad behavior, bad character in that moment in front of everybody else because he was triggered by someone on the phone. So it's always a good idea to answer your phone calls away from others, especially whenever you are in a dining type situation and you are either with somebody or around multiple people. The next social etiquette rule is to avoid inappropriate emotional responses. It's true that not everyone is emotionally at a certain mature level to understand that some emotional responses are inappropriate. For example, if someone is crying and maybe their crying face isn't the nicest face, it's really not the time to start laughing at them because their face is so funny when they're crying. It's an extremely inappropriate way to behave. I know some people find it funny. They're like, I can't help it when someone's crying. I just kind of have to laugh because I don't really know how else to respond. And it's a sign of emotional immaturity if your emotional responses to other people's emotions isn't quite right. Again, remember that with elegance, it has a lot to do with manners. It has a lot to do with social etiquette, and it has a lot to do with making yourself and other people feel comfortable around you. It's very uncomfortable and it will just trigger someone to become even more angry if they are crying and you are laughing, right? Or you just not managing your emotions well in front of other people. So please try to be emotionally responsible. Even if you can't empathize with someone, try to sympathize with them if they are in a state where they're not so happy or they are in a state where they're anxious. Just behave appropriately. That is not the time to start demonstrating your inability to control yourself in the way you respond to other people. So elegant women are very much caring women. They are women who can empathize and sympathize with others. So please try to adopt that sympathy when you find someone is in a situation whereby they are not happy. The next social etiquette rule is to do with social media, and that is asking before you post. Sometimes people take pictures, people record videos of other people who may not want their faces to be on social media. Yes, I would recommend that most of us, we should be prepared for it if we are in public places, that there could possibly be other people who are filming and recording in public places in which, we don't necessarily have the right to stop them, but it's good social etiquette to at least ask somebody before you share their videos or before you share their faces in public places that they may not be aware of. You share a picture of them with other people. It's very important that we learn as part of good protocol to ask before we share things like that. I think it's a classic sign of someone who hasn't been raised well to think that it's their right to share other people's stuff without any permission whatsoever. I've had it done to me, but I'm on social media, so I know to expect it. But luckily, YouTube is also quite strict on this now, with other people sharing other people's content without their permission, especially things that has to do with their private lives. Elegant people, elegant women don't behave in such ways. Again, they have good manners, and part of good manners is considering or being considerate of others. So it's good social etiquette to ask before you post someone's picture. The next social etiquette rule sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't do it, and that is cleaning up after yourself. And some of you guys who know me from my other channel are thinking, yeah, that's so obvious, Nafisa, because you're a clean freak. You know what? I love a clean space. I don't like clutter. I don't thrive in clutter. I don't want my home to be dirty. I don't enjoy living in dirt. So yes, I enjoy clean spaces. And I think it's good social etiquette that wherever you go, you try to leave the space like you found it. You do your best to leave the space like you found it. So if you go to the park and you have a picnic, clean up after yourself before you go. There's bins around the park where you can take all your rubbish, you can throw it in before leaving. If you go to visit someone's home and maybe you stayed over for a few nights, try to make the bed, try to dust off the bed, make the bed nicely before you leave. Try to pick up any rubbish around the place, put it in the bin before you leave. Just do a little bit of something so that you leave environments in the way that you found it. It says a lot about you when you're that type of a person. Another experience that I had when I went to have my daughter at the hospital, nurses, you need to stop speaking in your languages, because sometimes there are people in hospitals who understand your languages and they know what you're talking about. So I remember a couple of nurses, they were really grilling a lady because of the state in which she left the section of the hospital that she had stayed at for a few days after having the baby. And when she had left, she took her stuff, and her and the baby and the family had gone. The nurses were just like, look at her, she's so dirty, look at how she left the place is so nasty, now we have to do all this cleaning around here. And to be honest, in my head, I was just thinking, can you give this woman a break? Like, she just gave birth to a child. Like, can we not make it a big deal in a hospital that she has to clean that space, keep that space clean? But that is just an example of why it's important for us to adopt the habit of just keeping spaces clean, not be a crazy clean freak, but just being aware of leaving spaces the way we found them, so that it doesn't become something that we always have to overthink. When you make something a habit and you're used to it, you don't have to overthink it. It just kind of come naturally to you. So that's just kind of what I'm encouraging here. Not saying if you go to the hospital and have a baby, you should be stressing about cleaning the space that you're in, but just generally try to leave spaces the way you find them. The next one is for my ladies who find it hard to receive compliments. Please learn to receive compliments graciously. If someone compliments you, just say thank you. When I was younger, I was in the habit, and I think it's because I've seen other people do it too, to where when someone compliments me or someone says, oh, that's a really nice top you're wearing, I'm like, oh, this little thing? Oh no, that's just from this place. And I find a way to dumb down the compliments that I'm giving. And later on, I learned that was not necessary. Just graciously say thank you. When someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you. It's also quite polite to give them a compliment too, but I would say in times when you feel the need to give them back a compliment, make it one that is genuine, so it doesn't feel like you're just giving them back a compliment just because they gave you one. So sometimes just receive it and just sit in it and be comfortable in that. That's not arrogance, okay? That is just being able to confidently receive, right? So it's important that elegant ladies learn to receive compliments, because oftentimes elegant women are very good at giving compliments out. So if you give compliments, then it's likely that other people are going to compliment you too. So just say thank you very much. Thank you. And just leave it at that. Finally, there's the whole issue about grooming in public. And I know sometimes you just can't completely avoid it, right? But there are certain nasty behaviors that we can avoid. Things like biting your nails in public, things like spitting on the side of the road, things like, picking out your wedgies. Those type of things are a little bit too intense. So if we can avoid it, then we please, it would be nice for us elegant women to avoid doing stuff like that in public. Maybe excuse yourself or find yourself a little corner where really no one is. Funny actually I said that to you. I feel like this whole video has just been examples of my life. But I remember one day coming back from school, and there was a lady. She was walking in front of me with her daughter, and we were walking in the park. I enjoy wearing flat shoes, so it's most likely that she didn't hear me behind her. So she, how do I put this? She let off gas. She was in front of me and she let off gas, and she thought it was just her and her daughter walking in the park. And her daughter turned around and she was so embarrassed. The daughter was so embarrassed. She turned around. She goes, "Mommy, there's somebody behind you." And the lady, she did not turn around. She just kept walking straight for the rest of the journey. And I just had to shift myself a little bit because I'm like, I'm not about to absorb this smell. But that's just life, and sometimes things like that really do happen. Maybe she really needed to let it go. But yeah, let's try as much as we can, if we can avoid it, to avoid things like that happening. But honestly, sometimes I look at those situations and I just think they're just so human though, because it happens. But let's not make a habit of it. Don't just make a habit of just letting off wind in public every time you want, picking wedgies anytime, spitting on the side of the road here and there, chewing gum really, really loud and excessively. Those type of behaviors aren't so elegant. So let's please try to avoid them. All right, my ladies, that is it for this video. Those are some of the social etiquette rules that I think every lady should know and adopt. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Share it with any other elegant woman out there. Invite them over to this channel. You are welcome to this channel, whether you're Muslim or not. I know the way I look, you might think this channel is only for Muslim women, because my Muslim women are also very vocal in the comment section. But you are welcome here whether you're Muslim or not. Please do join the fam, okay? And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.